For those who are unfamiliar with the challenge of the Sabre 2-3 Weekend 9, can you tell us about that, Jan?
The event is based on the final weekend reserve selection. Reservists, like all reserve units, have full-time jobs, so a bulk of the training, a bulk of the selection process would be done the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm going back now to the late 90s, early 2000s. So the way selection was done, the endurance phase would be a series of 9 weekends, starting from an initial formal weekend where everybody that had passed the pre-selection days would turn up, and then you would go through a series of weekends, the early ones being instructional weekends, out on the ground with the DS, teaching you how to map read. Eventually you would go on to what was called your test weekends, so weekends 6, 7 and 8, all test weekends.
And how many people who would have turned up on day 1, week 1, would have even come to the start of Weekend 9?
So it would vary. On my particular course, by the time we started Weekend 1, there was about 110 guys throughout the squadron.
Yeah.
That were all starting that selection process. A lot of people drop by the wayside very quickly. It's not for them, they're not fit enough. The test weekends, every squadron would come together. The jock squadrons, Leeds and Newcastle, they would all converge in this location because it was handy for everybody. The test weekends were run as a regiment. On my first course, because I failed selection the first time, I failed on test week. By the time we got here, there was 32 left throughout the squadrons, and at the end of the day there was 10 people passed.
Wow.
10 out of the 32. And like I say this to everybody, the other 22 they'd all passed the other weekends, so you know they were all
fit guys to get this far, is what you're saying.
To get that far, and then 10 people went to test week.
For those people who've done Fandance or perhaps Paris 10, there's a number of military-themed events out there.
Yep.
How would you describe Weekend 9 if you compare it to, for instance, those two, like a Paris 10 or a Fandance?
I hate to say this, but first of all, it's harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I've just been out there this morning and marked the route. I'll be honest with you, I always think to myself, we must just be absolute animals. It's a tough route, never meant to be easy.